Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
Looking for your next adventure to be out of this world but don't have enough money to buy a spaceship and leave orbit? Well, look no further than Divergent's VR theme park off of Governor's Drive Southwest in Huntsville, Alabama. Are zombies more your style? How about driving your favorite cars on the world's fastest tracks? Or maybe a gorilla game that has you climbing up tall trees to escape other gorillas? Wait, that's actually a thing? Huh. Would you look at that? For whatever adventure you can dream of, call 256-203-4128 to get your VR adventure started now.
Have you discovered Good Company Cafe? The place for breakfast, brunch, lunch, and so much more. Enjoy brunch all day and pair with one of our many seasonal refreshing drinks, including alcoholic and non-alcoholic options. Choose inside or outside on our gorgeous, spacious, dog-friendly patio. And have some fun with friends playing yard games in the courtyard. See catering, to-go options, and lots more at goodcompany-cafe.com. Good Company Cafe, 7500 South Memorial Parkway.
From the University of Alabama, this is Crimson Tide Today. It's a daily update on Bama sports and it's brought to you by Guthrie's. America's original chicken finger restaurant is now an official partner of the Alabama Crimson Tide. For franchise information, visit Guthrie'sChicken.com. Hello again, everybody. I'm Roger Hoover. On yesterday's edition of Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR, we were joined by former Crimson Tide great and now SEC Network analyst Richard Hendricks. From your perspective, how have you seen this team grow throughout the first few weeks of the year?
Well, I think they started off the season strong. I think the biggest question for me was going to be, how could Nate Oates manage a roster that had so many talented guards? He's done a really good job of making sure that he's keeping everyone in the roster in action and playing at a high level. You have the loss to Latrell Wrightsell, which is definitely going to be a blow to the team. But when you have so many players to step up, you definitely have some opportunities to continue to be a really good team.
I'll have more in a moment.
Guthrie's Golden Fried Chicken Fingers, an Alabama tailgate tradition. Founded in Haleyville, Alabama in 1965, Guthrie's has been a Bama fan favorite for years. From your hometown to college towns all around, Guthrie's is still serving the family's original Southern fried chicken recipe just like always, fresh, hot, and fast. Make Guthrie's Golden Fried Chicken Fingers the MVP of your next tailgate. Guthrie's, America's original chicken finger restaurant and now an official partner of the Alabama Crimson Tide. For franchise information, visit Guthrie'sChicken.com.
We've got you covered this weekend for Alabama basketball at home in Tuscaloosa. The men's team returns to action against Creighton on Saturday night with tip-off at 7:30 p.m. Central and our radio start time at 6:30. Then on Sunday, the women's basketball team hosts Murray State at 2 p.m. with radio airtime at 1:45 all across the network. Crimson Tide Today is brought to you by Guthrie's. Crimson Tide Today is a production of the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield.
Welcome to Talkin Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
And there you have it. There you go. We are back. We are live. We are brand new. It's Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone, on a Friday morning. Safe travels into work, into school, wherever you may be headed on this Friday morning. And 256-576-4977. That's how you can join us over the next 120 minutes as we send you off into a weekend that'll see college football resume and play. Normally on Saturday when you wake up tomorrow, in the past, it was a standalone football game. That was the Army-Navy game, America's game. It is no longer a standalone game as it'll be sandwiched in with other college football games. Tomorrow morning at 11 a.m., you will get the Celebration Bowl, Jackson State, South Carolina State. Then you will get the Army-Navy game. Then at night, you will get Gio Lopez, the former James Clemens Jet, the Sun Belt Sun Belt All-Conference honorable mention quarterback for South Alabama as they take on Western Michigan in Montgomery in the Salute to Veterans Bowl. So you have 3 college football games tomorrow to enjoy. I believe we will have the Army-Navy game and the Celebration Bowl right here. That is Steve Moulton filling in for the illustrious Drew DeArmond.
My car was my car was a touch frozen this morning, but decided to thaw it out. And good to be back here.
Good to be back here. 2 weeks in a row.
I don't have a 2-liter, but I do have a 20-ounce. So,
Drew
good morning, Drew. Good morning,
Drew is on his way to Knoxville for Huntsville High basketball. So bowl game and bowl season prep is upon us. Yesterday, Alabama did resume practice early in the morning. The reason why it was early in the morning was because head coach Kalen DeBoer had to catch a jet. He had to get down to Tampa yesterday to sign the contract to play in the ReliaQuest Bowl with Sharon Moore from Michigan. And you can tell that there was no Alabama beat writers accompanying their Kalen DeBoer because he was
those questions.
It was interesting. Well, one of them was about, this is a rematch of last year's semifinal game.
Yeah, what do you think about that, Coach?
Yeah. Here was Coach's response.
I think there's a lot of changes, we're talking from coaching staffs to, probably 35 guys on our roster that are different just from a scholarship standpoint. So, everyone's aware of it, but I think this is more for us, at least, about our team this year and the journey we're on, and knowing that, we're facing a program that's had a lot of success as well. Understanding also, I know for me, that there are guys on our team that just lined up against them, less than a year ago. So, but I think that, again, that we're so focused on what we can control, who we are right now, and trying to be the best we can be for the 2024 team.
That was about the most entertaining thing out of the 7 minutes that he met with reporters down there in Tampa. The other one was, have you ever been to Tampa?
Yeah, how about that one? Yeah.
Well, I've been in and out of there, but not really
Recruiting.
Yeah. It was like 20-second, not even 10-second response.
Coach, don't go on the south side of Tampa, man. That paper factory stings the nostrils.
It was not very much. There was not a lot there. But the contract is signed for Alabama and Michigan to play in the ReliaQuest Bowl. But the other biggest question, and it's a question that has been asked, it's a question that's been asked on this show by our callers, will Jalen Milroe, who from Alabama will be suiting up to play? So before practice or after practice, Jalen Milroe was visiting with the media.
Yep.
Here is Jalen Milroe's response to, are you going to play in the game?
The mission right now is to complete the season. We have one more mission ahead, which is attacking Michigan, and that's the whole thought process right now. Being our absolute best, we can take care of our business when it goes to playing in Tampa. So it's all about going 1-0, preparing the right way, and so that's my focus is winning this game, preparing the right way, take care of my body so we can be our best us.
So you will be playing?
I will be playing.
And have you made a decision as it relates to the NFL yet?
No, my thought process right now is finish this game out against Michigan, and so just being my absolute best I can be for my teammates and coaches.
So Jalen Milroe, there you go. He is playing, has not made up his mind about anything he says, about anything beyond the bowl game. But Jalen Milroe is playing, and if you assume Jalen Milroe is playing, then others will follow.
This has been a curious little follow here, following the life and times of Jalen Milroe, Alabama's quarterback. There's no doubt how dynamic he is at quarterback, but I do wonder what section of the population, Alabama fan-wise, that are thinking, just please go, just please go. But, I mean, be careful what you wish for. You don't know exactly what's on the other side there, but I think I'm starting to hear that low rumble starting to become a shout I don't know if you're hearing what I'm hearing.
So the question is, do Alabama fans had enough of Jalen Milroe, or do you want to see Jalen Milroe? No. I mean,
maybe I'm making too much out of it.
No.
Maybe I am. But I'm starting to hear more and more of, don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you. Of just
if Jalen Milroe
move it along.
If Jalen Milroe is not under center next year, are Alabama fans wiping the brow and saying
hallelujah?
Yes. Or are some of them saying after one or two games, I wish we had Jalen Milroe? But it's how you. I guess it's how do you view how do you view Jalen Milroe's time in a Tide uniform?
Well, he has an SEC championship. That happened last year.
Right.
And
did not get a win in the semifinals last year.
Overtime loss to the eventual national champions.
Right.
But I will tell you, I took a look at the season-ending statistics. There were two quarterbacks in SEC play that had double-digit interceptions just in conference play. One of them was Carson Beck. Carson Beck had 12 picks thrown this year just in SEC play.
Right.
The other one is Jalen Milroe, who had 10 interceptions. But of those quarterbacks, there was only one quarterback that only threw 5 touchdown passes in conference play, and that belongs to Jalen Milroe. So I am certainly taking out a big portion of his game, which is legs. But when you do take a look at those numbers of 5 touchdown passes to 11 picks just in SEC play, it does kind of stand out a little bit to me, especially after how the season started, specifically in that first half of the Georgia game.
So Alabama fans have wanted to know if he was going to play in the bowl game.
Yep.
So is it more of wanting to know because you want to know because you hope he's not playing in the bowl game? Or are you hoping that you get to see Ty Simpson start the bowl game so you can see what Ty Simpson can do because all season long you were hoping that Ty Simpson would play in the back of your mind. If you are among those Alabama fans that are not approving of Jalen Milroe. 256-576-4977. We go out to the phone lines. Jeff, Mark from I am so sorry, Mark. Mark from Spring Hill with us. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning, Mark.
Morning. No, I'm Mark from the Borough today.
Mark from the Borough with common sense.
No, I got some people telling me we need some representation from the Borough, so I said I'll call it. Hey, you'd have to be a fool to say that you don't want Milroe. I mean, any Alabama fan that loves the university and that guy, class act, can't blame everything on him for sure. I can do a lot of blaming as a fan. That he just kept playing the next play. He'll go down as not the best quarterback by any means, but he'll go down as one of those special quarterbacks to me that plays the game the right way and was able to transition between the best coach to ever coach the game.
Well, where does he stack up in terms of being an Alabama quarterback, just in the Saban era quarterback? So at what Saban era quarterback is Jalen Milroe ahead of? Greg McElroy? John Parker Wilson?
Maybe
Blake
those
Sims?
two. He's better than Sims.
Really?
I would think he's better than Sims. Now, the best quarterback ever played in Alabama, to me, will be A.J. McCarron. People will disagree with me on that, but in terms of that's just my opinion. But let me tell you real quick why I called though, y'all be shocked at this. Auburn football. I looked at it today for the first time. I don't keep up with them, but Gus Malzahn had won 28 games 3 years before he was fired.
Yep.
After he's been fired, they've won 17. And so I don't.
Sounds
Maybe
right.
it's just because Huntsville is such a smart town, the highest PhD and big time Alabama city, and don't care a whole lot about Auburn. Not a lot of Auburn callers, and that's a good thing. However, if I'm an Auburn, I don't know why there's not more pushback. I don't care about recruiting, hearing about Freeze. He's getting this and the other. All right, he's winning the state. Is he winning is he winning America? No. And so I just feel like he's kind of getting a free pass. I mean, you're supposed to come in and turn a program over now in 2 years, at a minimum now. And Auburn's got 2 losing seasons. This is not piling on Auburn. These are just facts. So Gus Malzahn to me was one of the, he had success against Nick Saban, and I want y'all's thoughts on that. I know y'all talking about Milroe, and I'm sorry to break that up a little bit for Auburn, but why is Freeze getting a free pass? No pun intended. I'll hang up and listen.
Well, look, here's the thing with Hugh Freeze, and you can look at it and you can look at it in 2 ways. Number one, Gus Malzahn did a ferocious job, terrible job in recruiting offensive linemen his last couple seasons.
He did.
Brian Harsin did absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, Brian Harsin's latest success has been trolling Twitter after an Auburn loss. That's about as good as what he can get.
It is pretty entertaining. It is pretty entertaining to follow, just if you're an objective.
Yeah. Hugh Freeze walked into a situation at Auburn that was pretty bad. Now, year three.
Yeah, this is it.
This is it for Hugh Freeze.
Yeah.
He had him. He had that first year where didn't quite get a full recruiting class, didn't quite get a full, head of steam
the
going.
end of the season was awful.
Year 2,
be it away from that first Iron Bowl, on Gravedigger. But
year 2, they were competitive in certain situations this year, but the frustration was they kept turning the ball over.
Yeah, especially
inconsistent
early
quarterback play.
Yeah,
bad special teams. There was always something that reared its head, and then Hugh Freeze being, hey, this is not me, this is them type of situation. Didn't look good. This year is it for Hugh Freeze. He's got to.
What's the number? Is it double digits?
No, if Hugh Freeze gets
Auburn
8
has not
wins,
had double-digit wins since 2017.
If they get 8 wins this year,
Kerryon Johnson,
8-9 wins, they have some resemblance of progress, then he's fine.
Yeah,
he can't go 6 wins, can't go 7, can't just get into a bowl game. He's got to change it around. He's got to get 8.
Have to win the Iron Bowl.
Wins.
Have to win the Iron Bowl.
It's at home.
Have to win the Iron Bowl.
It's at home, so we all know, what Nick Saban say.
It's been Gus Malzahn was your last head coach to win the Iron Bowl, and that was in 2019.
Well, we knew Brian Harsin wasn't going to win that. I mean,
played hard for him. He did. He got his team to play hard for him.
I thought it was interesting. If you follow the Brian Harsin Twitter, a couple Auburn players went into the portal, and he made comments on the fact that those players were going into the portal. Those were his guys that he brought in, and they were bad. They were bad, and
He's now at Cal.
All right, 7:15. I know we got Josh on the phone. Let's get Josh in real fast. Good morning, Josh.
Hey, good morning, guys. How y'all doing?
Doing good.
Hey, I just wanted to make a quick comment about the quarterback.
Yeah.
I don't completely agree with A.J. McCarron. He was good, but I got to say, if you look at the Mac Jones year when we won that national championship, take away Mac Jones in the NFL, just look at the Alabama year. He picked teams apart.
Yes.
And every game was a blowout. Mac Jones destroyed teams.
That's a
Would
fact.
you put Mac Jones ahead
there's no way you can't put him in the conversation. But as far as Milroe, I definitely put him up there. No national championship. I don't care about that. I'm a big Alabama fan, but he's a really, really great quarterback. He just
what do you mean
hasn't
up
been
there?
able to get there.
Would you put him would you put him ahead of Mac? Would you put Jalen Milroe ahead of Mac Jones, ahead of A.J. McCarron, Blake Sims? Where would you land him?
I would put him above Blake Sims, not McCarron and not Jones. But right there, right at the cusp.
Yeah.
I think you're undervaluing Blake Sims.
Who would be your number one?
Tough.
I'm curious. Who would be your number one?
I mean, oh, man. For me, in my era, I'm 39, so in my era, I'm going Mac. But you go all the way back, I mean, you can't deny Namath, I mean, but if I'm going just
I was just going Saban era quarterbacks. I was just keeping it to the Saban era. Yeah.
Okay, Saban era, Mac Jones is number one for me all the way.
Okay.
He picked every team apart like it was no problem.
And you'd have Milroe ahead of Blake Sims. Any other modern day Saban era quarterback? You gonna put him above McElroy? You gonna put him above John Parker Wilson?
You know what? I did not think about McElroy. That's a good point. So I would probably go Mac Jones 1.
What about 2?
I would go McCarron 2, McElroy 3, Milroe 4.
Tua?
For me.
What about Tua? Where would you slide Tua in that equation?
Oh, man.
Or Jalen
I didn't even think about my boy Tua. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm putting Tua at 3 after Mac and McCarron. Then I'm going
Tua.
God, I just lost it. 2009.
McCarron.
McCarron.
Yep.
Yeah. And then I'm going Milroe.
Okay.
All right, so he's up there. So you got Milroe up there. All right.
Yeah, he's definitely top 5 for me. He is number 5, but he's top 5.
All right, Josh. Thanks for the phone call, bud. All right, so that's the topic of the conversation this morning. So now that we know Jalen Milroe is playing in the bowl game, could be his last game in a Tide uniform. Where would you put him in the Saban era list of quarterbacks? We got to get our first break in of the morning.
Yeah.
When we come back, we will visit the phone lines. Plus, we got other college football conversation to get through. It's Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You're listening to Talkin Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Got a wreck westbound on 565. It's about halfway between County Line and Greenbrier. Looks like it's off to the right side of the road. Should not be causing a problem. Got a wreck 53 in Douglas. It's just been updated to an injury type. Had an overturned vehicle 53 in Harvest Road. They paged it out with injury and possible entrapment. They cancel rescue and Himsey. And we got 72 westbound deceased to Wall Triana. That one may have an injury. Officers, construction workers, and first responders put their lives on the line every time they step on the roadway. You could make it safer for them. Slow down or move over. It's the law. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com.
It's time to get ready for game day. That means Alabama football and tailgating. Whether you're tailgating at home or at Bryant-Denny, visit Brooks & Collier for North Alabama's largest selection of premium grills and smokers like Big Green Egg, Blaze, Delta Heat, Memphis, and Traeger. Satisfy any palate with our wall of rubs and seasonings. For all your tailgating needs, visit Brooks & Collier at 813 Meridian Street or at brooksandcollier.com. An Alabama tradition for over 75 years. Roll Tide.
At Mr. Sparky, we're America's on-time electrician. Flickering lights and hot switches can be annoying, but they can also signal a major problem, or worse, an electrical emergency. So play it safe and leave it to the experts at Mr. Sparky. Trust our team of professional, clean, and friendly electricians. We'll get it done right and get it done safely.
You don't have to put up with any malarkey. Call 888-8-SPARKY.
Independently owned and operated, licensed in the respective state or county.
a warrior faces adversity, he fights through it. He finds a way. Freedom isn't free. Rolling strong. Belief. Believe you can, and you will.
Wheelchairs for Warriors provides mobility solutions to veterans and first responders injured in the line of duty. Join the mission and visit wheelchairsforwarriors.org.
This will turn journalism on its ear.
Watch our stream on WZZN TV on Twitch and YouTube.
But you are the greatest hero in American history.
We are 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
All right, welcome back. Talkin Ball, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. The Southeastern Conference, by the way, just means more, and it just means more in television ratings. The SEC accounted for 8. They put this out yesterday. The SEC accounted for 8 of the 10 most watched schools, not just games, but schools during the 2024 regular season. Now, this was according to the Nielsen viewership data. Georgia topped the list. Every Georgia football game that aired averaged 8.6 million viewers per game. That was considerable over the second highest school in the country, which was Ohio State at 6.8 million. The Bulldogs played in 2 of the 3 most watched games of the year. Alabama, 12 million, and Texas, 13.2 million on October 19th. Both of those aired on ABC. The Michigan-Ohio State game, by the way, 12.3 million. And that was the other. The other top 5 of viewers for college football games per teams, Alabama was 6.6 million, Texas 6.4, and Tennessee 5.4 million. Those were followed by Michigan at number 6 at 5.2, Texas A&M 4.9, LSU 4.8, Kentucky. Now keep in mind how bad Kentucky was this year.
That's an 8-loss team.
But every time Kentucky played, they averaged 4.5 million viewers per game, and Florida rounded out the top 10 at 4.3 million viewers. There you go. So those were the top 10.
Means more eyeballs, doesn't it?
Yeah. Now, Kentucky's numbers, though, a lot of those games were on ABC.
Yeah.
And they were playing
We had a
Georgia,
lot of games on ABC.
Yes, and they played the Tennessees. And so you played the opponents that had the big numbers.
Yeah.
And that is before the SEC championship game numbers.
Yeah.
So the SEC championship game was astronomical in numbers. So it just really does mean more. The question that has been asked is, where would you slot, now that we know Jalen Milroe is playing in the bowl game, possibly his last game in a Crimson Tide
more than likely.
You have the long list of quarterbacks.
Yeah.
We forgot one, and that was Bryce Young. You got to put Bryce Young in there. So you
absolutely.
You have Jalen Milroe, Bryce Young, Mac Jones, Tua, Jalen, Jake Coker, Blake Sims, A.J. McCarron, Greg McElroy, John Parker Wilson. And during the break, I did text my host. I said, hey, where would you slot Jalen Milroe in this? I got a one-word response. One-word response. Last.
How about that?
Last.
Really? Is that,
Last. I got a one-word response. Last. That's where he would put him.
Wow.
Last. Of all those names I just read, Milroe, Young, Jones, Tua, Jalen, Coker, Sims. Sounds like a law firm. McCarron, McElroy,
But
Wilson,
even with Tua, durability, listen, he was so fun to watch play, but I would say durability would be his biggest issue. On at least if you want to have that conversation of your best being available is your best ability of
last. All right, let's go out to the phone line. Last. Strawberry is with us. Good morning, Strawberry.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that last statement. I mean, I think there's a lot of things that you could probably put him ahead of. Obviously running ability is pretty high compared to some of those other guys. Overall athletic ability, he can definitely throw the ball better than a few of those guys. But football
especially the
IQ,
deep ball.
He's a gifted athlete. And let's not get this twisted. Urban Meyer would win a national championship with the dude. Easy. Like that dude at Ohio State or that dude in mid-2000s Florida team.
Yeah.
They're winning a natty. I still say I'm a non-Alabama fan, but obviously I follow them. Biggest failure in Saban's career, which is, whatever, dude's the GOAT. But biggest failure he had was not winning with the little guy. I'm drawing a blank. One of the Heisman. Y'all just mentioned him. He plays at Carolina.
Bryce
now.
Young.
Yeah, Bryce Young.
Yeah, Bryce Young.
Yeah.
Bryce Young. That's the big, just not winning a natty with him because he was probably, for a college level, he was probably the best he had, in my opinion. But then you look down the list, and it starts getting really hard to figure out who's the best. Mac Jones had the best season. One thing y'all done this morning is exposed that Alabama fans don't know anything about their own team. But I'm glad to hear your co-host is going to the promised land, Knoxville.
He was happy.
Yeah.
He was so happy about that he had to ride, that he had to go to Knoxville.
Good old Rocky Top.
Yes.
Well, the good thing for him is nobody knows who he is there, so it doesn't matter. Nobody will give him any crap unless he's wearing the flat bill hat.
Well, they're all
modern dunce cap.
They're all on their way up to Columbus anyway and getting ready for a playoff.
It's
Yeah.
the greatest story in the world.
Yeah. Supposedly, I don't know if y'all heard about that yesterday, and I'm sure it's completely false. But supposedly, Tennessee fans hacked into the OSU.
Oh no, that was real.
Oh no,
Well,
I
I thought
missed
it
this
was,
story.
'cause
I missed the story.
Yeah, they
hacked
Tennessee fans got a hold of the code or whatever to buy tickets.
Yeah, the code.
And they have bought and they have snatched up a lot of tickets, so much so that
them.
Ross Bjork had to come out and tell Ohio State fans not to sell their tickets to don't sell your tickets, period, because they may end up in the hands of Tennessee fans.
Yeah, it went bananas yesterday on message boards. The code was getting blasted out across all the Tennessee message
That's
boards.
fantastic. You know what,
Supposedly
Vol
they were
fans?
buying out tickets.
Well done, Vol fans. Well done. Well done.
Hey,
Yeah.
Tennessee may not be number one overall in a lot of different things, but we're the number one troll, and there's no doubt about that. we're as Vol Nation, we're just a few letters away from Troll Nation, and we'll eat it up. So whatever, I don't have him in the top, but watch him go to another team and win it all, or be the most competitive thing you've seen out there. And second of all, I wouldn't be in such a big hurry to get rid of him because he did account for such a large amount of your offense. If you take away the quarterback that everybody hates and the 17-year-old receiver, where are you at?
That's why I'm going here. That's why I'm going here.
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't think it's a bad idea to keep him around because I don't know where you go from here. And I've heard y'all's co-host allude to it, but this team is Alabama. This team has looked the most undisciplined I've ever seen Alabama look. And undisciplined teams don't get better than the next year just because they got rid of their most talented player. That doesn't generally happen.
Yeah.
So, I don't see the logic in pushing him out. However, you got a lot of illogical people.
Yes.
Not your co-host. I think they actually know. But I wouldn't be pushing the dude out even if I don't rank him at the top of whatever. I think he's still probably one of the most talented people on the team.
All right, Strawberry, thanks for the phone call, bud. Yeah, back to what he was talking about.
Yeah.
Tennessee fans got a hold of a pre-sale code.
That's great.
For the Ohio State season ticket holders.
That's great.
So much so that Ross Bork went on a Columbus local radio station and said, do not sell your tickets. He said, Tennessee fans, they're rabid fans. They're going to invade the shoe, so let's make sure we don't have as much orange in there as people think. He said, don't worry, there'll be plenty of scarlet in there. He gets us a scarlet out game. But Tennessee fans got a hold of the pre-sale code, and they were buying tickets for the thing or whatever, and it got up to the thousands.
For the playoff game next Saturday night.
I mean, you couple that, that just tells you how rabid some of the fan bases are.
Yeah.
You couple that with the Duke AD having to go on record and tell Duke fans, hey, remember now, do not sell your tickets to anybody else, because we had an embarrassment happen inside Cameron where the Auburn fans made some noise and it was loud, so don't do that. I mean, it's funny. All right, it's 7.
I did want to go off on a little tangent on Ross Bjork. I mean, if you really think about his lifespan as an AD, because that part of the interview that he mentioned yesterday, he said that Ryan Day's coming back next year. I mean, it was the vote of confidence, but if you think about, I'm thinking about the basement press conference that he had at Ole Miss there with the Ole Miss dial, and then out at A&M and the look on his face when we found out Texas was coming into the league. I mean, he has had so many moments as an athletic director.
Yeah, it's different. Gene Smith was there at Ohio State for so long.
Yeah, he was.
Just an old guard, an old dude, and now you got Ross Bjork.
Ross Bjork.
Have fun.
Ross Bjork.
Couldn't happen.
Ross Bjork.
Old suck eyes. All right, 7:32. Got to get a break in. When we come back, we'll get back to your phone calls. Plus, we got to check in with Bill Belichick. Plus, we got Travis Hunter news. Plus, we got other stuff. A possible situation with Quinn Ewers. Boy, this is getting crazy.
Yeah.
We'll explain it all.
You're listening to Talkin Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Emily Owen. A cloudy start expected for this Friday will gradually become partly sunny by the afternoon. High temperatures looking to top out in the mid-50s. Heading into our Friday night, we'll sit under a mostly clear sky. Low temperatures falling into the low 40s for the overnight. Rain returns back into the forecast heading into the weekend. I'm Fox 54 meteorologist Emily Owen on your home for ESPN Radio 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Got a new wreck on 431 near Hayes Preserve. That one is coming in as an injury type. 565 westbound at Greenbrier may have an injury involved. 53 in Douglas reported injury. It looks like they've canceled Himsey on that one. 72 westbound just east of Wall Triana reported with injury. 53 in Harvest Road had an overturned vehicle. They canceled Himsey and rescue on that one. Shoal Scholar Dollars Legends in Concert Series is bringing Grammy Award winner Pam Tillis to UNA on January 26th. Tickets at shoalscholardollars.com. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
The company is Eagle Masonry and Insulation, but did you know they're also Eagle Landscaping and Dirt Work? Eagle can take care of all your landscaping needs, including irrigation, sod work, and planting, both plants and trees. On the dirt work side, Eagle can grade and build your pads, haul dirt in or out, and even do erosion control. Philip Love and his team can do it all for you. The website is the same, insulatewitheagle.com, as is the phone number, 256-755-1556. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
Normally, when you call a roofing company, all you hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Since 1965, the folks at Fleming have been focused on what you need, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement, commercial or residential. And when it comes to storm damage, you want Fleming on your side. They know all the ins and outs of insurance claims and will guide you through the entire process. Log on FlemingHSV.com and book your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
You know, this process is all about talking ball.
Listen to Talkin Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond.
What did they want privacy for? To just start talking ball.
Every weekday morning, wake up with Scott and Drew. It's Talkin Ball. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Hi, welcome back. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Theisen, Steve Moulton sitting in for the illustrious Drew DeArmond. Drew
Last.
Headed to his favorite spot on earth, Knoxville, Tennessee.
That's right. Where all the dreams come
Yes.
true.
Yes, it's kind of like him going to Disney World. He couldn't wait.
You have your Knoxville moment?
He couldn't wait to get up and head to Knoxville.
Yeah.
And he will stop at Neyland Stadium to say hi.
There you go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Try to tear down the goalpost one more time.
Yes, he will.
To reenact.
He will take a flag out and throw it on the ground.
He would plant the flag. If you gave him a flag, he would definitely plant that right in the middle of the tee.
If you do it in Ohio Stadium,
Yep.
you're gonna get
Dot the
7
I.
years in jail.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, felony.
It's gonna be a felony. You can get 5 to 7 years.
Felony
in jail.
for planting a flag.
Anyway, 256-576-4977.
Thanks, Baker.
You can join us if you would like. Let's go out and visit with Tony. Good morning, Tony.
Hey, guys. How y'all doing this morning?
Doing good.
Hey, I just want to talk to you about Jalen Milroe.
Yes, sir.
And so what makes it so frustrating is it's all about perspective. You look at Jalen Milroe, and you know without a doubt that he's probably the best athlete to ever step on the field at Alabama. But when you look at it from a quarterback perspective, if you was in a game and you had all the Saban quarterbacks standing on the sideline, and you had to make a play, a short crossing route across the middle, a slant across the middle, that's what they're giving you. And you had to make that play. What quarterback are you sending in on that play?
Me personally, to make one play, I'd either go Bryce Young or Tua.
Okay, so let's take it to, you got to go on the road. You got to go to Vanderbilt. You got to go to Oklahoma. You got to play in a playoff game, away from Tuscaloosa.
I take A.J.
And you're looking at a quarterback. You're exactly right.
Yeah.
That's what makes it so frustrating. That's why you can't, Alabama fans won't say, yeah, he's the number one quarterback. Now, is he the best athlete? By far. By far. But when you look at the whole scenario of being a quarterback, good quarterbacks don't go to Oklahoma and flop. Good quarterbacks don't go to Vanderbilt and flop. You look at that, and that's why you can't just say he's number one. And that's why it's so frustrating for Alabama fans is that inconsistency level, knowing that he's the best athlete to ever come through Alabama.
No one's mentioning Blake Barnett either. Technically, he was a starting quarterback there on that Saban list.
Well, you can also put Tyler Buckner
and there's
in
Jake
there,
Coker.
too.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, the old lacrosse player. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's I love watching when he's in that zone read type offense and they're making it work.
Yeah.
Man, I love seeing him. I love it. And but you just see the inconsistency of the middle passing game, going on the road and just not getting that play out of him. But now does that go back to coaching? You know what I mean?
That's the thing.
Because you can't blame it all on him against Oklahoma because the offensive line didn't help him out very much at all.
Right.
And even
Or
at
illegal touching.
Yeah, that's right.
So there's also that too.
But I hope he comes out in this Reliable Bowl and just I hope he eats him up. I hope he looks like the Heisman Trophy player that we wanted him to be.
All right. Thanks for the phone call, Tony.
Thank you, Tony.
I mean, I think that is kind of what we were summing up there. It's like in the very beginning, it's the frustration with Jalen Milroe. It's the frustration of
because we saw the athleticism.
You see the running lanes. You
yeah.
see the ability. You see the path for him to run.
Yeah.
He doesn't run. He'll throw the ball, or it'll be a turnover. And then when he runs, he shouldn't have ran. He probably should have thrown it. It's the inconsistencies. It's the ebbs and the flows. There's too many highs and too many lows to make you scratch your head. Whereas the guy like A.J. McCarron. But I'll say this, though, too. The offense that A.J. McCarron ran is a whole lot different than the offense that Jalen Milroe, Bryce Young, Mike Jones. It's so much different.
That was before the philosophy change.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
It was, hey, hand it off a couple times to your backs, let them get their yards.
Here's Mark Ingram, hand it over to him.
Here is it was the bad term of quarterback managing.
Yeah.
It's like you don't need to go out there and throw the ball 40 times to win a game or 35 times to win a game. You just need to throw the ball 10 times or 11 times, and that's good enough because the running game is going to take care of itself, and it's a different philosophy.
But I do wonder how many Bama fans want to be done with Jalen Milroe at the same time as well. Where in the back of their mind, they're thinking, I asked this question to Drew last night on the drive of what percentage chance do you think Jalen's gone, and he said 99.1.
Yes, I was told the beginning of the year, before they even played game 1 of the season, that this was going to be it for Jalen Milroe.
I heard that too.
This was it. This was regardless of what happens, this is going to be it.
But
He's
how
either
many
going to the NFL or the portal?
But how many Bama fans are out there going, can we just please be done with the Jalen Milroe era? But, I mean, I don't know how quick I'd want to go on that train because of how those little – I'm thinking of the first half of the Georgia game. You know, there are certain signs where you're like, wow, this guy can play at an elite level. It's just that lack of consistency, as you mentioned.
Let's go with Richard this morning. Good morning, Richard.
Hey, morning, guys. One thing Scott, you just brought it up. You know, what Milroe does, and really Bryce Young, just due to the lack of offensive talent and, line play, the quarterbacks had to do a lot more the last 3 or 4 years.
Yes.
And, like McCarron, like you said, you had, and a lot of it, too, is like two of what you have, and even Hurts, but you have 4 number 1 draft picks at wide receiver. Not Najee Harris, a number 1 tailback. Your whole line was drafted. I mean, like the Mac Jones era, didn't everybody on the team get drafted?
Pretty much, yeah.
No, I mean, it was a philosophy change and a talent.
That 2020 team.
I guarantee you Milroe's run the ball probably more than any quarterback since Saban's been there.
Yeah.
Or this year he's just he has to do more.
Bryce was good at knowing when to run too. And
he didn't have a line was part of it.
There was a reason. Yeah, you're right. There was a reason he had to run.
Yeah, I mean, and like I said, a lot of it you got indeed. Some years too, like Hurts, the defense would score twice a game.
Yeah, that's right. The non-offensive touchdown. Yeah.
Yeah, you'd get the ball back after. It's kind of like the '92 Alabama team. We had a terrible offense, but the other team was going 3 and out or getting a turnover where we had the ball, 15, 20 times a game because the defense was so good. But a lot of it, you got to look at the talent around and, what they're asked to do. And like I said, really Young was throwing 40 times a game, but it's kind of like Milroe's throwing 20 and running 20.
Mm-hmm.
These guys are asked to do a lot more. And, and a lot of it, too, is at Alabama, the backup's always better than the starter usually.
Oh, always.
And it was true with Tua and Hurts, so that was the one time it was true. But a year ago, we want Ty Buckner to start.
Yep.
Probably the worst quarterback in Alabama history.
And now I believe he was coaching quarterbacks or coaching tight ends. He played lacrosse, but he ended up being a part of the Notre Dame football team this year
he was
somehow.
Scout team quarterback, I think.
Something, yeah.
So Drew has moved to Knoxville?
Yes, he
moved.
Is.
Yeah,
yes.
That would be fantastic.
Yes.
He's going to sub in for Tony Basilio today.
Yes. So Steve made him. Since he was late, Steve made him go to Knoxville.
Yeah, that's right.
And have to wear orange for the rest of the day.
Going to have to sub in for Tony Basilio today and take nothing but Tennessee phone calls.
Yes.
Gosh, I wish I could make that happen.
With finals are over, you got Creighton coming to Alabama. I think Auburn's playing Ohio State in Atlanta.
Yep.
Tennessee's going to Illinois, Xavier, Cincinnati. So you got, I think, UCLA, Arizona. So your hoops really picked up with not much football tomorrow.
Oh, I know.
So
we got a big one tomorrow at Lee for UAH. So
we're going to preview that one at the bottom of the second hour. But yeah, you're right, Richard. The SEC. It's another weekend. It's another day of college basketball where the SEC can say, "Hey, look." We've already said, and we've already think we're the best basketball conference right now. We're playing as the best basketball conference. We have another chance to prove it tomorrow. I know Ohio State is not the Ohio State, but of past, but they're still good. And Alabama has a date with Creighton, who's already beaten Kansas once this year. That's not going to be an easy game inside Coleman Coliseum.
The worst record right now in SEC basketball is South Carolina at 6-3.
Yeah.
That's your worst
One thing
basketball
on Tennessee
record.
too. If Tennessee doesn't lose tomorrow, they play Florida like mid-January. If they don't lose to Illinois, they're going to be number one for a while.
Well, I don't know if you saw that Miami game earlier in the week, but
I didn't see it at all.
They just look different out there, and they're reason that they're number one. They're a very experienced bunch.
All right, Richard, got to move on.
See you later.
All right, thanks. All right, let's get Jerry in before the break. Good morning, Jerry.
Hey guys, how are y'all?
Good.
Yeah, the Milrow situation. As an avid season ticket holder and everything, good kid. Nothing against him personally. I'm ready for him to move on. His decision making is atrocious. There's nobody that can deny that. There's several times you say he ran or didn't run. He ran somebody may have said he runs at the wrong time.
Yes.
And we blame, a lot of people say the offensive line. Go back and watch a lot of those games. There was a pocket to step up in and plenty of time. He has no pocket presence and, nothing again, but there is no doubt he single-handedly lost the Tennessee game and the Oklahoma game. He's won us some games. I give him that. But it's time to move on. I mean, I think DeBoer was put in a bad situation. I think if you ask him under oath, he would not have wanted Jalen Milrow as his quarterback this year. I'll bet you, as a coach and an offensive mind, he's not the system that DeBoer wants to run. I mean, go back and look at Penix.
Yeah.
Go back and look at Penix, what he did with Penix. And again, I don't think Jalen Milrow is a quarterback. You look and see people say Anthony Richardson. Okay. See how long Anthony Richardson plays and wins in the NFL. He'll blow the combine away.
Oh yeah.
The combine, they'll be foaming at the mouth at the combine like they were with Richardson.
Yeah.
And he is way down the list in Saban quarterbacks to me. I mean, I could name almost a half a dozen, and he'd be behind a half a dozen. If you really look at it as the quarterback position. So, with that said, time to move on. I think Alabama will be better offensively in the long run. Some people are going to say you're crazy. I don't think so. I think in DeBoer's system, with a quarterback that can process the field, the pocket, and get linemen, your quarterback's supposed to get your line in position, too, to block. That's his call, too. A lot of that is the quarterback. Am I wrong?
Well, the center is the one that makes the most keys on the O-line. But, yeah, there is a part of that inside the quarterback as well. I mean, it's not all completely on the quarterback. But, I mean, the center usually makes most of the calls there as well.
And he can't see the blitz coming. I mean, you can see on TV that they're going to bring the blitz off this edge. He cannot see it. And then he panics. He panics, and then you see what happens. Pick six, run out of bounds, not turn it up when you're supposed to get a first down. Just a lot of bad decisions. But anyways, we'll be fine. Roll Tide.
All right, thanks. All right, let's get a break in. When we come back, wrap up Hour 1, Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You're listening to Talkin Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Got a wreck on 431 near Hayes Preserve. That one is reporting injury. It's several others that reported injury, but it looks like they've canceled HIMSI and rescue on all of them. 565 westbound at Greenbrier, 53 at Douglas, 53 at Harvest. That one had an overturned vehicle. And 72 westbound east of Wall Triana. Dr. Sandman has the Somnodent, a safe, insurance-approved alternative for snoring and sleep apnea. Dr. Randall Sandlin, 350-CARE. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
At Bad Daddy's Burger Bar, our focus is to always offer you the perfect combination of good times and great food. And when you're ready for a great meal, or when it's just time to take a break from all the holiday hustle and bustle, come into Bad Daddy's and enjoy one of our premium award-winning Angus beef burgers, signature cocktail, or a cold draft beer. From all of us at Bad Daddy's Burger Bar, we hope you have a safe and happy holiday season. Bad Daddy's Burger Bar on the Parkway in Huntsville and Cliff Farm Highway 72 in Madison.
Tom Luganbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
From heirloom diamonds to contemporary jewels, Loring & Company is the place to find something truly special. Whether shopping for a diamond ring for that once-in-a-lifetime occasion or marking a milestone birthday or personal achievement with a Rolex watch, you'll find just the thing in our edit of the world's most sought-after brands, including David Yurman, Roberto Coin, Marco Bicego, and Fopay. Expect a treasure trove of the world's most unique, even breathtaking earrings, rings, necklaces, and bracelets, making choosing just one piece a challenge in itself. Loring & Company Jewelers on Airport Road.
All right, welcome back. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN. So what the hell's that?
That's the hunkification of this.
No.
We can't hear you.
Bailey should know. It's 80s.
I can't hear anything.
It's 80s and country music and old school rap. 80s country music and old school rap.
It's the hunkification. Yeah.
No, it started before even Joe Hunt got
here. Did it really?
Yes, this started way before Joe got here. Okay, yeah, Ludacris is good, but we got to go old school Ludacris, not new school.
You think Luda's new school?
Well, he's got newer stuff. So he doesn't do it by himself anymore, so now he throws in like a couple of beats on other people's stuff.
Am I misremembering? Didn't he have a concert potentially at Alabama A&M that he canceled? Or was it Ludacris?
I saw him a year ago. He opened for Janet Jackson.
Really?
Yes, in Birmingham. Ludacris opened for Janet Jackson.
I would have signed up for that. Had I known, I would have signed up for that.
It was pretty cool. It was pretty cool because he came out and he had his big gigantic hands on.
Yeah,
he had his big gigantic hands and stuff. Yeah. I'm like, oh, this is Ludacris. And then it went into Janet Jackson. So it was in Birmingham. I was in the very top though. I was not down low. We were above the cloud. Anyway, Brandon is with us this morning. Good morning, Brandon.
Good morning, Brandon.
What I wouldn't give to see a news story later today: Huntsville man arrested for urinating on the rock in Knoxville, Tennessee.
He would do it. He would do it.
He's gonna paint.
He would
rock.
do it.
He's gonna paint it orange.
I know somebody who's done it. They might be in this car, but
don't blame your son for that.
Yeah, that was in 1997. So yeah, he was not thought of at that point. Let's straighten this quarterback situation out. As far as being the best performing quarterback with the arm, that's Bryce Young, and it's not even close. A.J. McCarron's the most clutch quarterback we ever had as far as doing the best of what he had.
Right.
So that right there, Mac Jones, just star-studded everywhere. I mean, he's top 3 or 4. I believe, and Nick Saban said as much at the Omni Hotel down here when I went and ate dinner back in 2015. Blake Sims would have won a national championship if Lane Kiffin would have run the ball. He was not a great quarterback, and he didn't make a lot of good intermediary throws, but he didn't make a lot of bad mistakes either. He played within what they asked him to do. He was not a bad guy. But Jalen Milroe has not progressed at all. Turn that Tennessee tape on. If I could show you every wide-open receiver that he wasn't even looking at this year, I'd make your car payment. That's why I'm ready to be done with him, because he's not our future. He's our past. I don't know what we got. I don't know if Ty's better. I don't know if Dylan Lonergan's better, even though I think Dylan's great. I don't know.
Right now, Lonergan's in the transfer portal.
Yeah, I hate that too, because I've seen that kid play, and he clanks when he walks. He plays some hard-nosed football. He was a really good football player up here in North Georgia. So right now, I need to know what we're going to be going forward. And with playing Milroe, I'm not getting a peek of what we're going to be going forward. I'm getting a peek of what we've been. And at this point, to me, we're playing this bowl game. The season's really over. It's a time to find out what you got going forward.
Yeah.
And we're not going to find that out with Milroe because I don't believe he's coming back. And I don't look forward to his dad screaming and cussing and trying to fight people in the stands at every game either, and ending up all over social media. So you have to ask yourself, what's best for us now? Is it best for us if Milroe stays and plays in this game against Michigan? Or is it best for us to try to, if we stay and if we find out what we've got with what we've got on the roster going into next year?
It does seem to me, though, Brandon.
And he is playing in the bowl
like
game.
Kalen DeBoer is kind of a loyal guy when other guys stick around. And this has been a difficult situation to walk into. And I think it's been a successful year. I think so. I know Wes told me he didn't think this was a successful year.
Well,
but, I mean, a 9-win season in your first year right out of the gate?
I think what makes people and what makes Alabama fans so mad when you say it was not successful, it was the fact that you beat Georgia.
Yeah.
You beat the SEC champion team. And then you go and lay an egg against Vanderbilt. Now, albeit Vanderbilt was 6 wins, and Vanderbilt was improved.
Same
they
with
gave
Oklahoma.
Teams a hard fight. But there's teams out there that were less than Alabama that did not have problems with Vanderbilt. There were teams out there that were less than Alabama that did not have problems with Oklahoma.
Yeah.
But Alabama did. Those are the frustrating things. Yes, you had great wins if you're an Alabama fan. You had a decent season. But it's the 2 mistakes, the Vanderbilt and the Oklahoma mistakes,
the Oklahoma
that
game.
just sit there and say, you know what? We underperformed.
Oklahoma had 2 SEC wins this year, Auburn and Alabama.
Thanks, Brandon, for the phone call because we are up against the hour break. You underperformed when it mattered the most. You have a team that should be in the playoffs, could be in the playoffs, because you beat the SEC championship team. You play at the highest level. All right, Blake Lovell's next. We're going to talk college basketball.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Brought to you by G-Bank. Earn cashback rewards on every eligible gaming transaction. VSiN.com/G-Bank. Subject to credit approval. Terms and conditions apply.
Atlanta Falcons in the midst of a 4-game losing streak. They're the 4-point road favorite this week at the Las Vegas Raiders, who have dropped 9 consecutive games. The total 44.5 on a Monday night in Las Vegas at Allegiant Stadium. Coming up today, it's Thursday Night Football. The San Francisco 49ers, 3-point favorites over the L.A. Rams. The total 49 at Levi's Stadium in Santa Clara. Matthew Stafford over-under passing prop bet, 240.5 yards, 1.5 touchdowns shaded to the over. Brock Purdy, 250.5 passing yards, 1.5 touchdowns. That number is shaded to the over. Mike Sennett, 97.7 ESPN.
WCZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com.
This hour brought to you by SportsMed Orthopedic and Spine Center. Online at sportsmedalabama.com. Welcome to Talkin Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
Hour 2, Talking Ball, officially underway. SportsMed Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center, dedicated to providing care that improves lives, helping you take care of your bodies. 256-881-5151. You too can experience that SportsMed difference. SportsMed Orthopedic Surgery Spine Center. let them help take care of you. Our first guest of the morning, we talked a little bit, a little bit at an hour one, and that is what another weekend it can be, and what another Saturday it can be for SEC basketball. You take a glance around. 17th ranked Texas A&M will be traveling to 11th ranked Purdue. You got Auburn and Ohio State meeting in Atlanta. You will have Florida and Arizona State. You have Arkansas taking on our good friend John Schulman in Central Arkansas tomorrow. Kentucky and Louisville, they're going to resume that series. Illinois welcomes Tennessee tomorrow. That's going to be in Champaign, Illinois. That'll be a raucous environment. Oklahoma's taking on Oklahoma State, and then you got Alabama and Creighton in the nightcap. That game will be here on 97.7 ESPN, the Zone, 7:30, by the way. But let's go out to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. We welcome in our good friend Blake Lovell from Southeastern 16. Do an excellent job they do of covering college basketball for the Southeastern Conference. Blake, good morning. This morning you have myself and Steve DeArmond, Steve Moulton filling in for Drew DeArmond. But nonetheless, it is great to talk to you, Blake. Welcome in.
Morning, Blake.
Yeah, a combination of the two. There's nothing wrong with that. So,
yes.
Keep a little Drew in there, so that's fine. So,
we have talked about it. Drew and I have talked about it in the last few days. We've talked about it this morning a little bit. The Southeastern Conference, the SEC right now, they are playing perhaps the best basketball in America.
yeah, there's no question about it. I mean, for all the years, the past probably 5 or so, maybe more than that, we talked about how it should be another great year for the SEC, and we said that with this season, but I don't think we could have probably predicted just the dominance so far in terms of it being to this level. And that's what surprised me the most, because I always try to be optimistic, because I see, what the coaching roster and the NIL, that's being pumped into the league now in basketball and all these other things, and what it can be, but it's kind of unprecedented to see the league start like this. And it's something I was pointing out to someone yesterday. I'm like, the league could really struggle on Saturday in some of these big games, and it's really not going to matter that much, even if they lose some of these games, because they've done so much work to this point that, most teams have avoided those bad losses or significant losses somewhere. If a team loses a game or something like that against, let's say, like you said, if an A&M loses at Purdue, it's a loss and you would like to have it, but it's not going to hurt them all that much. If a Tennessee loses to Illinois, it's not going to hurt them all that much. And so it just shows you kind of the body of work that these teams have put together. And, that's why they've been so good so far.
Was the statement made in the ACC Challenge, when the ACC for years has been the dominant conference in college basketball? They've set the standard, they set the stage, and the Big Ten's kind of crept in there a little bit. But when the SEC kind of dominates the ACC Challenge for the first time, it's the first year we have it.
What was that, 14-2, I think?
Yeah, what did that say, though, about the conference?
Yeah, I mean, it said a lot. And, my first thought was, hey, ACC fans, trust me, we've been there before. You know what that's like.
Yeah.
So, but it is wild to kind of think. I mean, the ACC is, you talk about sort of, two conferences going in different directions. I mean, the ACC is, maybe not to this level of getting beat like that in the challenge, but, it's kind of been a conference that's certainly maybe not what it used to be. And, I think the SEC, as you said, is sort of changing the dynamic a bit in terms of, the direction they're going in. And so, I think it continues just to go back to what the SEC has done from a conference level, from the league office level, like those kind of things, to make sure that basketball can be what it has become. And, I think if you're looking at the ACC, there may be some frustrations with that, with probably coaches and staff around, those particular programs, and wondering, okay, are we doing exactly what we need to do to be one of the best? Because right now, I don't think there's any question. The ACC ranks behind every other power conference out there in basketball, and that's why I think it's such a fascinating dynamic to see where these two conferences are at right now. Like I said, changed it, 6 to 7, 8 years ago, something like that, where the SEC is getting 3 teams in the NCAA tournament and that kind of stuff. But now look at it. I mean, you're talking about a season where I think at least 10 teams are probably going to make it. And so it's just completely flipped. And, yeah, it was pure dominance in that challenge for sure.
I've seen a fair bit of Alabama, Auburn, Kentucky, but one team that I'm really intrigued with, I want to dive in and study them a little bit closer, is the Florida Gators. How much have you seen out of Florida? They're obviously a top 10 team and undefeated right now, but how good do you think the Florida Gators are, Blake?
Yeah, I mean, initially, when we were having those conversations, 3-4 weeks ago, it seemed like we kept saying the same thing. We're like, all right, what order do you put Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, and Auburn in?
Yeah.
What order do those four teams go in? And then, people started asking that question. I said, well, hang on a second. I'm like, I think we got to put Florida in there too. I think Florida probably deserves to be in there because I think you make the argument that, maybe Florida is somewhat similar to Tennessee in that people's knock on Tennessee, despite the fact they're the number one team in the country, is that no, they haven't played the schedule that Auburn's played or Alabama's played or Kentucky's played to this point.
Yeah.
But they've beaten teams and they're beating them pretty good.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same thing with Florida. Florida's not played the same schedule by any means. I mean, their best win right now would be a road win at Florida State. And, that's not exactly a great win by any means. And so what do we take away from that? Well, I just say all the time, I'm like, hey, you can only beat who's on your schedule. And you can say, well, they should have scheduled tougher and all this, and that's fine. But if they're beating teams the way they're beating teams, I'm going to have to pay attention to that. I can't knock them for being 9-0 with all their wins, I think, coming by 15 or more points or something like 13 or more points.
Yeah.
I can't knock them for that. And so now, though, is where we find out. Their next two games, they play Arizona State tomorrow. That's a sneaky good game. They're in Atlanta. Then they play North Carolina on Tuesday. I think those are the two games that really start to separate for Florida. But no, they're playing as good as anybody in the country probably. It's just now when the competition steps up in the next two games, we really find out more about them.
Yeah. Can we say the same thing about Tennessee as well? I know they're the number one team in the country, but you take away their win against Baylor, they're kind of doing the same thing. They're beating up on teams that are not very good. They're playing okay teams.
Yeah.
But Illinois is probably, outside of Baylor, Illinois is probably Tennessee's toughest test.
Yeah, for sure. And that's why I think, this is an interesting game for Tennessee because we all know what's going to happen if they lose this game. And I think it'll be a little bit unfair if they were to lose this game and then everybody all of a sudden just jumps on and say, well, we told you they were not as good as they seem. But again, if you look at just the way they've played and not necessarily who they've played against, I mean, they are as good as it gets. And, I said this past week, we do our power rankings every week at Southeastern 16. I said I would still rank Auburn ahead of Tennessee. I know they've got the loss, but I'm not going to knock Auburn for losing at Duke. They've got better wins. But, can you justify Tennessee being number one team in the country? I think you absolutely can because of how good they've been. And if you look at it from just a numbers standpoint, I was looking at this yesterday. It is remarkable. If you look at the defensive ratings for players in the SEC, Tennessee has 5 of the top 9 defensive players just from an efficiency and rating standpoint in the entire conference. That's 5 of the top 9 players is on this team for Tennessee. And I just think that is something you just do not see very often. And so their defense is kind of fueling everything. But the big question we had coming into the season was what? It was how are they going to replace Dalton Knecht? Well, don't look now, but Chaz Lanier is doing a pretty good job with that because he's scoring, maybe not as dynamic as Dalton Knecht, but he's not that far away, and we've seen that. I mean, he's scoring 22, 26, 25, 26. He's making 4 more threes a game. And so, maybe that we weren't that far off in terms of thinking, all right, could this guy just sort of step in and replace the production? So far he has. And again, I do think, there's a chance they lose that game tomorrow, no question. But when you look at sort of what they've done, again, I try to put in the context of how are they playing versus necessarily who are they playing against, and how they're playing has been about as dominant as anybody out there. So I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt here to this point.
Let's look at Alabama. Tomorrow night, they will welcome Creighton, Greg McDermott. They gave Alabama fits last year. They've already beaten Kansas this year. This is a very, very good Creighton team coming into Tuscaloosa tomorrow.
Yeah, it is, and I think it's a Creighton team that everybody's tried to figure out exactly who's going to be on the floor for them, and I think that's sort of been the the thing with them right now is, they lost Pop Isaacs for the season. I mean, he was, averaging 16 points a game. So that's a significant sort of deal, I think. And that's why you're going to see Alabama. I don't know if the numbers even come out yet, but I wouldn't be shocked if Alabama is somewhat close to a double-digit favorite in this game, although that would scare me a bit because I'm not completely sold on that just yet, because I do think Creighton is still a very good team. But like I said, they're a team that's sort of battling injuries and that kind of stuff. So not having Isaacs, how does that change things? You'd love to have him in a game like this against Alabama. But you also kind of know, like with Creighton, I mean, again, they're going to be able to sort of challenge you defensively, with what they can do. And we all know kind of it starts with the same names we've been seeing there seemingly, for the past several years now. Stephen Ashworth, who came over from Utah State, really good guard. You kind of know what to expect at this point now from Ryan Kalkbrenner. He's just, he's going to be someone that Alabama's going to see there at 7-1 and try to find ways to attack. And if you get him into foul trouble, I think you're doing, pretty well from that standpoint. But Creighton's also a team that, last several years we've talked about this. They just don't force any turnovers. And I think that's what I think in Alabama's case, if Alabama can just get out and do what they want to do offensively and you're not forcing them to make mistakes. I mean, Alabama doesn't force a lot of mistakes either, but I think it's different in terms of the offensive capability. Alabama's just a much better offensive team. And so I think this could be a game where Alabama kind of scores and scores and scores some more. And I just, even with sort of the pieces that Creighton still has on this team, like you said, yes, they had a big win over Kansas, there a couple weeks ago. But I think, that's a game, too, where Isaac scored 27 in that game. And we know he's not playing in this one. And so I just think that's a huge difference. Alabama, in my opinion, should roll in this one.
Well, especially with the likes of Mark Sears, but LeBaron Philon has it's hard not to be thoroughly impressed with this freshman and what he has brought to the table. We saw him up here. We have the Huntsville City Classic, and he was up here with Baker, and he popped off the page even on the high school level when he was at Baker. But I wasn't anticipating this, Blake.
No, I wasn't either, and that's like every time you go into a new season, you're like, all right, I want to make sure I talk about everybody because I'm like, I want to cover my bases because you never know who's going to just completely, pop out. But to be honest with you, when I was talking about Alabama and saying all the great things I said about them, I'm like, hey, at full strength, I think they're the best team in the country. They're easily my pick to win the SEC. I can't tell you how many times I mentioned LeBaron Philon because I don't know that I mentioned maybe more than 2 or 3 times throughout the entire offseason. And it's not because, it was a matter of I didn't think he could contribute on this team. It was just, okay, well, my goodness, look at all the guys ahead of him. Yeah. And you're just thinking, all right, well, I got to talk about these guys first because, well, that guy's done this, that guy's done this. And it's like, eventually you run out of, you're like, okay, I have to get to something else. So, yeah, I mean, and that's what I think is interesting too, guys. Like we say this in this era and this year in the SEC, I think more so than I've seen in several years now during the transfer portal / NIL type era where you're so focused on the experience of teams and you're so focused on the guys that are coming back. We haven't talked as much about freshmen as we were, let's say, during the John Calipari's heyday at Kentucky, where, there's freshmen across the board, not just on Kentucky, but, many other teams too, and you could build an entire first-team All-SEC just out of freshmen. Well, this year, look at what he's doing. Look at what an Asa Newell is doing at Georgia. Look at what, all these different guys, Pettiford, obviously at Auburn. Like, you just keep going down the line here, and there's a lot of good freshmen in this league. And that's not surprising. Just, again, the SEC is always going to get good freshmen, but they're standing out in sort of a year where, again, the SEC is as good as it's ever been. The SEC probably has as many experienced teams as it's ever had. But you're seeing these freshmen like Philon completely step up and just be huge for their teams and make such a big impact. So that's what's been most impressive to me. And, yes, he's going to still be a huge piece of this puzzle moving forward. He just not a lot of guys built like he is in terms of his skill set. So, he should continue to have a fantastic season.
How does Alabama overcome the loss of Latrell Wrightsell?
Yeah, and I think that's one where, I said going into the season, I thought the guy that was going to make the biggest impact on this team that probably wasn't going to be talked about enough was going to be Chris Youngblood. And I think now, you lose a guy like Wrightsell and understanding that he was going to be a big piece of the puzzle in terms of his shooting and the experience and the things he brings to the table. But I think that's where Alabama being as deep as they are and that was one of the reasons why I was hyping them up, saying, hey, I think they can be the best team in the country, was because of the depth and all the pieces they had at these different positions. And I think Youngblood being able to step in now here is going to be significant because he is, I mean, if I had to pick one word to describe Chris Youngblood, like, he's just a winner. Like, the guy just goes out, he turned around just a putrid Kennesaw State program. He helped with that, then goes to South Florida with the, late Amir Abdur-Rahim now, helps him turn things around there. And, this guy just goes out and he knows what it takes to win. And I think that's where him kind of, playing a different role than Reitzel, there's no question about that. But him being able to step up, take some of those minutes, I think he's going to be a guy that's going to be hard to keep off the floor. So once he's back from this injury here, I feel like that's where, again, the depth helps Alabama, where you lose a guy like that, and now you got somebody who's ready to step in who's not played the season but was probably going to be expected to be someone right off the bat that would have played 20-plus minutes. So I think that's the luxury that Nate Oates is working here with. Blake,
I can almost hear the Auburn fans saying, "Hi, we're here too." I mean, they're
Yeah.
I mean, that's a fun team to watch, and I think we all watched the Duke game. I'm really looking forward to the Purdue game coming up here, I think, in a couple of weeks. But Broome in particular, how much he has improved. But I cannot help but think, especially when I take a look at the game at Duke, there was a couple of decisions made by Chad Baker-Mazara that I think might be a tell of if he cleans up his act, I think Auburn could be – I mean, they're already elite, don't get me wrong, but there's just a little nitpick here and there of how much better I think Auburn could be.
Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, to me, I still think they're the best team in the country to this point. I look at the way they've played, and like they've done it. And if you look at their like defensive numbers, they've not even been as impressive as you maybe would have expected. Now, I think one of the reasons for that is they played a lot of really good offensive teams. When you play a schedule like this that they play to this point, and again, it's not going to get any easier over the next couple of weeks. The next two Saturdays, they got Ohio State and Purdue, and so yeah, I mean, it's going to continue to be challenged there, but. I do think when you look at it, Broome is, I said Auburn's the best team in the country. I think Broome's, in my opinion, no question, the best player in the country. He's been the most dominant to this point, I think, without a doubt. And so when you kind of see how the pieces continue to develop around him, like you said, I think the consistency, with Chad Baker-Mazara, with the continued experience, each game of a Pettiford, and, you already know kind of what those older guys like Denver Jones and Chaney Johnson, Cardwell, Miles Kelly's been really, I think, when you look at kind of the percentages, we were knocking him this offseason because I'm like, well, his percentages weren't that high at Georgia Tech, but then I'm thinking, okay, he's played a completely different role for a Georgia Tech basketball team that was just not that good the past 3 years. Now you're stepping into a situation where you're going to get more opportunities, better looks, and those kind of things, and he's capitalized on that. So I think overall, for Auburn, they're also a deep team, and I think that's where seeing a freshman step up the way they've had it, seeing a Kelly step up and be able to make shots in the perimeter, and then just having the intangibles of having the best player in the country perhaps, and playing the schedule they played. Like I said, that's what's going to benefit Auburn, Alabama, Kentucky, teams like this. As we get into the gauntlet that is going to be SEC play this year, where there quite frankly may not be more than one or two bad losses on the entire schedule in SEC play. Opportunities, that is. Like, we talk about bad loss avoidance. You may not have to worry about that in SEC play. There may not be many of those. Yeah. And so that's why, like with Auburn, they've already done the work up front. If they can grab, let's say, one of these two in Ohio State, Purdue, my goodness, if they win both of them, they're easily going to have the best resume in the country. But I just think it's continuing to see how everyone develops, again, around the best player. And so far, it's looked pretty good.
Well,
what do we know about Chris Beard and Ole Miss?
Well, I think Ole Miss to me is one of those teams that's kind of in that land of, I think they're really good because if you look at their overall body of work, they're 8-1 with a buzzer beater loss to Purdue. And I'm like, okay, I mean, that's got to account for something. Now, the problem is, they're 8-1 and their next three games are going to go against teams that they should beat by 20 or more until they play Memphis, I think, on December 28th on the road, which, that will be a tough game. But I think Ole Miss is better. You remember last year with Ole Miss? They started, what was it, 13-0, and they wound up being like 15-1, 18-3. I think this year's team is better than last year's team that got that hot start, and they're playing a little bit tougher of a schedule. Not that much different, but they're playing a little bit tougher with some of these games. So I think that they're going to be right there in that mix of Oklahoma, Mississippi State, Texas A&M. My goodness, I'm just like, I could keep listing off teams because that's how good these teams have been so far, where it feels like they're a little bit a step back behind these top five right now, but maybe it's not as far as we think, and maybe they have a chance to crack into that top five at some point. We can't discount, I think, Ole Miss being in that, discussion right now either. And like I said, though, you could say that for 5, 6, 7 maybe other teams that we've not even mentioned as sort of that top five right now.
Ken Palm has Ole Miss right now at 29, so that kind of goes to what you're saying right there. This is the last year, the COVID year, though, Blake. I've had a handful of coaches telling me that this has been grown man basketball because of the age of some of these players. I'm thinking about Cardwell in particular on the Auburn roster, of guys that are just, they're out there. How much of a difference do you think with this extra COVID year and seeing grown man basketball on the college side, it's been an adjustment for me. How about you?
Yeah, look, it's definitely one where you've seen how coaches have tried to approach this thing. And it is with the mindset that, hey, we have to take advantage of the experience that we can have by having some of these older guys. Yeah. And if we don't, then we're just putting ourselves at a disadvantage. And you've seen coaches change their opinion on that, right? They go back to Cal several years ago where he's still trying to do it. And I'm not saying he's figured it out to perfection because he hasn't. But, several years ago, he's like, well, I can still do this with half freshmen, half older guys. Now, you probably need 90% older guys, throw in a freshman or two somewhere, and then you're going to have to run with it, right? But it is going to be interesting, I think, coming out of this just to kind of see. But I think that's where the SEC itself is setting itself up for success, just because, NIL is still going to be the thing that pushes this forward. Where, if we're talking about, okay, it's not the 6-year thing anymore where you have the extra year and you've got all these guys who are older and playing. That may be the separator still this year. But beyond this, it's going to be the teams that, as always, that can get the best players, that can get the best coaching roster with sort of the resources and all that. And the SEC, in my opinion, is still the conference that is equipped to do that best. And that's going to continue, I think, just to be the theme as we move forward. But no doubt it's plays a huge role. And we'll see how coaches kind of adjust what their priorities are in terms of roster building after this season.
All right, Blake, great stuff. Let everybody know how they can connect with you.
Yeah, I appreciate it, guys. Yeah, you can find us Southeastern 16 on YouTube or any podcast app you use. Pretty much daily SEC basketball shows these days. Check it out there, and you can follow me on Twitter at @TheBlakeLevels.
All right, thanks, Blake.
Thanks, guys.
All right, let's get a break in. More Talkin Ball when we return. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You're listening to Talkin Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Got northbound blockage on 431 near Hayes Preserve. That one's got traffic down to one lane only. Had injury involved in that accident. Everything else seems to be in order. Well, we did pick up one Parkway and Golf. It's coming in as a no injury. End of the year is coming. Snelling can help with admin, business support, and accounting help. Snelling, how the area's best companies hire talent. Huntsville.snelling.com. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com.
Ho, ho, ho! Bob Baumhauer here. Need a stocking stuffer for this Christmas? We've got you covered at Baumhauer's Victory Grill. Surprise everyone in the house this year as they empty their Christmas stockings to find our popular gift cards. Now, through December 24th, you'll receive a $5 bonus card with every $25 gift card purchase. So put a Christmas smile on everyone's face with these great stocking stuffers. Baumhauer's Victory Grill. Legendary fun, legendary food. Merry Christmas!
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
A wise man once said, If you take care of old folks and children, everything in the middle will take care of itself.
Hi, I'm Danny Aldridge, lawyer in Alabama and Tennessee. In the next 20 years, the number of those folks over 65 years of age will more than double. In our golden years, the most important goal is to be treated with dignity and have control over doing what makes you grateful with those you love. At the Aldridge Law Firm and the Legal Town Center, we're dedicated to help you with these goals, and we'll be there when life throws you those inevitable curveballs. Let us assist you with your legal needs, whatever they may be or become. You may reach us by phone at 256-534-3188 or online with Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. Just remember, we're here to help. Whether it's personal injury, wrongful death, fraud and cheat, or estate planning made complete, we're here to help.
AL cert number 21014.
Welcome into the hottest and coolest game show around called The Freeze. Today's contestant, Bob. Bob, can you tell me the heating and air business that provides free service with repair?
Is it Talent Heating and Air Conditioning?
Can you tell me which heating and air business provides free second opinions?
Talent Heating and Air Conditioning.
You are our grand prize winner. You have won a visit from the #1 heating and air business in the Tennessee Valley.
Talent Heating and Air Conditioning?
That's right. Talent Heating and Air is coming to you.
This is Thomas with Talent Heating and Air Conditioning, and you don't have to win a game show to use us. We have free second opinions year-round, and we're doing free service calls with a repair. So just remember, call Talent Heating and Air Conditioning at 256-503-4490 or visit us on our website at talenthvac.com.
Everything you need is just a click away.
I screw up sometimes, silly.
Okay, almost everything.
Come on, Bob. Tell your fortune.
Log on today. 977ESPN.com. 977 ESPN, The Zone.
There we go.
Yeah, you want older school? You got to go back to Grandmaster Flash.
That's where we're going. That's what we do. So Bill Belichick introduced North Carolina head coach yesterday.
His dream.
And one of the things that we talked yesterday about the show was his best friend is Nick Saban. And he's going to have to pick up the phone at some point, you would imagine, and ask Coach Saban for advice. Well, Bill Belichick was asked yesterday if he had picked up the phone and called Coach Saban.
Chris in the back, go ahead. Ross.
Ross Martin, CBS Sports, 24/7 Sports, and the Big Hitters Only podcast. Did you talk to Coach Nick Saban? And if so, what questions did you have for him? What advice did you seek from him? And what kind of stuff did he tell you to get prepared for the college game?
Yeah, Coach Saban and I have a long friendship and relationship. I have all the respect in the world. Love Coach Saban. In all honesty, I would just keep our conversations private. I don't think, really that's those are to be shared publicly. I appreciate the question, but there's nobody I respect more than Coach Saban, and he's been a great friend for 40 years.
Right in front of you on the.
We got nice Bill yesterday. We got college nice Bill. I do wonder how many people on the Patriots media staff were like, where's that Belichick been?
Yeah, no.
We got nice Bill yesterday.
Yeah,
nice Bill.
I mean, it was a 40, but the whole introductory thing, the whole introductory press conference took 44 minutes. From the time they introduced him through all the questions, it took 44 minutes.
Well,
but everybody started dissecting as soon as everything was released. They started dissecting the numbers, and they started going over everything. And the numbers that stood out are the fact that if he is to leave prior to June 1st of 2025, it's a $10 million fee. If he leaves after June 1st of 2025, the buyout and exit fee is only $1 million for Bill Belichick. There you go.
That's something to chew on right there. The other thing is breaking down the schedule for, I don't know if you saw the 2025.
TCU, Charlotte, Richmond, UCF, Clemson, Duke, Stanford, Virginia, Cal, NC State, Syracuse, and Wake Forest.
I mean, come on now. If that don't pep you up with that kind of schedule, I don't know what will.
Well, it's funny because you got...
But North Carolina has not won a conference title since 1980.
You got 6-time Super Bowl champion Bill Belichick versus national champion football coach Scott Frost.
There it is. There it is. While Alabama takes on the Gus Bus offense right out of the gate with Florida State.
All right, what time is it? 8:31. All right, Steeler Mike real fast. We got Coach Hedgespeth we got to get through after the break.
We got to get through. Yeah, that's great.
Let's get
Coach, we'll get to you.
Yeah, we'll get to you, Coach, I promise. Let's get Steeler Mike in. Good morning, sir.
What's up, guys? Since Phil Fulmer Jr. is not there and with the Huntsville High basketball team today, up in his favorite area of the world, Knoxville, Tennessee, I should have said a couple of times.
That's the best. That is the best of the line I've heard all day.
Phil Fulmer Jr. with a beard. That's my boy Drew.
Oh, Drew.
Yeah. Hey, real quick, I know you guys got a segment coming, but break down the tackle situation at Ohio State for me. I know there's injuries. You guys follow it better than me. Break that down for me. Talk to you soon. Thank y'all for what you do, and tell Phil Fulmer Jr. on his ride home to be safe.
I don't even know what to say for that.
Wow. Can you mark that? I need to turn that into a promo. That's
well, we know Seth McLaughlin along the offensive line as Ohio State as a whole. Seth McLaughlin torn Achilles. He's gonna miss the rest of the year.
I know. Yeah, we got people laughing in the back.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
it's hard to recover.
I really is.
From the rest
Phil
Fulmer Jr. with a beard. Steeler Mike, we'll get to the tackle situation.
I'm sorry, Steeler
We'll
Mike.
get to it. We got to get a break in, though. Mick Hedgespeth, UAH head coach, coming
We'll get
up
to
next.
him. We'll get to him.
You're listening to Talkin Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Emily Owen. Mostly clear sky expected for this Friday night. Temperatures going to fall into the low 40s for the overnight. Heading into our Saturday, scattered showers going to be possible mainly in the afternoon. Otherwise, you can expect to see mostly clouds. High temperatures topping out in the upper 50s. I'm Fox 54 meteorologist Emily Owen on your home for ESPN Radio 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
We've been down to one lane northbound at 431 on 431 near Hayes Preserve. Had an accident there with some injuries. Parkway and Golf is a fairly new accident. And we had an overturned vehicle, 53 in Harvest Road. That one should be pretty well wrapped up, though. The end of the year is coming. Snelling can help with admin, business support, and accounting help. Snelling, how the area's best companies hire talent. Huntsville.snelling.com. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
Rich Eisen here from Monday Night Football on Westwood One. Join us all season long as we get you ready for primetime NFL action every Monday night. Along with Kevin Harlan, Hall of Fame quarterback Kurt Warner, and the entire Westwood One team will take you inside the locker rooms and the stadiums for exclusive previews and all the play-by-play action. Every week on Monday Night Football.
Right here on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Eagle Masonry and Installation. It's right there in the name. Eagle is your one-stop shop for block, stone, or brickwork, monument signs, and outdoor kitchens and fireplaces. Eagle also offers the finest craftsmanship and insulation, including fiberglass or spray foam insulation, and of course, insulation removal. Philip Love and his team have years of experience, bringing the region the best in masonry and insulation services. For more information and a quote, visit insulatewitheagle.com or call 256-755-1556. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
If hunting and outdoor recreation are your passions, it all starts with the right property. That's where I come in. I am Bo Butler with Southland Realty and Auction. a hunting and recreational land specialist and a Jackson County native who sees land through a hunter's eyes. Just as you trust your guide on a big game hunt, you can trust me to find the perfect property for you. Thinking of selling? Let me help you make your land attract buyers. Remember, Bo knows land. Call me at 256-609-0512.
Not looking or feeling your best? No energy for the things you like to do? Ready to look and feel younger? Make your appointment at Advanced Life Clinic, one of the region's foremost destinations for patients interested in looking and feeling their best. Specializing in advanced laser treatments and weight loss, male and female rejuvenation to offset the effects of aging, and more. See how Advanced Life Clinic can help you enjoy your life again. Call 256-882-6555 or log on advancedlifeclinic.com.
All right, welcome back. See, now there we go. See, that fits the show.
Phil Fulmer
with
Fulmer
Jr.
with
in
a beard.
Knoxville with
a beard.
that
sorry,
there
Steeler
fits.
Mike. That was fantastic.
It was. Anyway.
We're heading to Tennessee tomorrow.
We are headed
not to
quite
Knoxville. No.
But we're going to Cleveland,
Tough
Tennessee.
place to play. Tough
It
place.
is. And it's a rivalry game over these past years.
Yep.
I mean, it's hard to forget last season. The last time we saw the Leaf Flames, we saw them, and then we played two halves of basketball, and then we played another overtime, and then another one,
and then another one,
and then another one, and then another one. Five overtime game in the semifinals of the Gulf South Conference championships. That's the last time we've seen Lee. A lot has changed for both teams. Bubba Smith, though, still coaching the Flames. Mick Hedgepeth now leading the UAH Chargers.
12th ranked.
12th ranked UAH Chargers. And all they've done since dropping their season opener to Nova
Number one team in the country.
Rattle off a bunch of wins in a row.
Yeah. Lost to Nova by 1.
Look to extend that tomorrow as they go back on the road to take on the Lee Flames. And the head coach of the UAH Chargers, kind enough to wake up with us again on a Friday morning. Mick Hedgepeth with us. It's myself and Steve Moulton.
Morning, Coach.
Filling in for the illustrious Philip Fulmer Jr.
With a beard.
With a beard. Drew DeArmond. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning, guys. It's a pleasure as always.
It is. Another week. You play on Monday. You take on a scrappy West Florida team. But then you get 5 days off. How important has those off days been since that game on Monday?
Yeah, I think it's been good for us for sure. Both in terms of just a little bit of rest, and then in terms of this time of the season, it can just be, you can be so focused on your next game and your next team and how to prep for that and what they do and how they guard and how they play on offense. And now you can just really, to have a couple days to really look and reflect on us, on our performance thus far and what we need to work on in practice has been nice to just focus on us for a couple days before we turn the page to Lee.
I've talked to you about several players, Coach, and it's one kid in particular, and I know he's had some injury issues in the past, but Dane Harding. Dane is playing such a vital role to this team. How would you speak to his consistency through 9 games so far for your squad?
Yeah, I've talked to Dane a lot about this and about his role, and I think that, what makes Dane special is, I'm sure this will happen some nights when he will, scored in bunches, and I think, he made 3 threes, I believe, against Trevecca, including a really, really big one late in transition. But, so often his stats may not jump off the page, but he has just immense value in terms of, helping connect us offensively, get everyone organized. He knows every play from every position. He's actually one of our best defenders just because he, the son of a coach. He
really has a high basketball IQ and great instincts. And, he's been just a really, really important piece for us so far and will continue to be.
Have you broken down the 5 overtime game? And if so, I'd love to get your thoughts on that 5 overtime game if you've broken that down for us, Coach.
I actually have not. I probably should have. I tuned in from afar last year when that game was happening, and I got tired just watching from afar. So decided to focus on film from this season instead.
Yeah,
but
smart.
No, I've heard plenty about it. In my short time here, and that was one for the books for sure.
What's been the greatest strength of this team so far through the first 9 games?
I think just unselfishness and balance. I would say balance is probably our biggest strength. Really fortunate to have multiple guys who can have a big night, and there have been nights when someone may be off or the ball's not going in, but we know that someone else is going to carry the torch and pick up that load. And it's, I think the balance of our team has been the biggest strength thus far.
Well, and the experience level as well jumps off the page. And I know I've talked to you about Austin Leslie, but I'm also thinking about Luke Burnett too. He already has 40 made threes this season through 9 games. He already has the all-time record in made threes there at UAH. But Luke Burnett in particular, I know we're going back to his home state there in Tennessee, and he's from Knoxville, by the way. I just wanted to throw that out there. But nonetheless, Luke Burnett has and it looks like he's actually gotten a little bulkier in terms of because of the physicality that you have to take in this league, Coach.
Yeah, I think, like a lot of these fifth-year guys have just continued to mature, physically for sure. But, I think we're just in a day and age where, the value of three-point shooting is at an all-time high, right? I mean, the game continues to trend more and more that way. And to have an elite shooter, and I will say I think Luke can do, and he's displayed, he can do a lot more than just shoot. He can drive it and make really nice reads. He can come off a ball screen and make the right play. He's also a really good defender like Dane, his shooting ability alone just causes such gravity, right, for defenses. They have to know where he is in transition at 20-plus feet. You really have to decide how you're going to guard him in a ball screen. You really have to decide how much you're going to help off of him when he does not have the ball. So he really just opens a lot of things up for other people with his threat from beyond three.
When you look at the matchup versus Lee, what kind of stands out to you this year when you watch the film on the Flames?
I would say the biggest thing is they just have a lot of really, really good individual defenders.
Yeah.
Like they do a very, very good job of protecting the paint defensively, not allowing many shots at the rim. And usually when you do that, you give up a lot of threes, right? But they're really good at doing both. They'll take away drives or post feeds or cuts or whatever it is to get rim two opportunities. And then even though they may have 2 people on the ball or have maybe collapsed a little bit, they have the length and the speed to be in a long closeout situation and take those perimeter shots away. And then they're in their same rotations and containing off the bounce all over again. And it's, it's just a credit to Coach Bubba Smith there. They've made 2 straight NCAA tournaments. He's recruited, really nice players there, and it'll be a tough matchup for us for sure.
Well, on top of that, to be on a 3-game losing skid as well. I'm not used to saying that about a Bubba Smith team as well. I know you two have that tie of Swanee in your background, but it makes me think that this is going to be even more of a more hungry team that we're going to see tomorrow afternoon in Cleveland, Coach.
Well, definitely you can throw records out the window. I think anytime that we match with Lee, I think we're going to get their best shot, and they're going to get our best shot for sure. But yeah, I mean, I try not to. That's totally out of our control. Try not to overanalyze. I can say this. I mean, just winning league games is really hard. And they've had a couple really close ones not go their way. They lost by a point last night. They easily could have won that game and had a lot of momentum there towards the end. They lost 2 games ago. They lost by single figures. So they just had I believe that was at AUM.
Yep.
But they've had a lot of play, a lot of games, just not go their way. But I know that they'll be ready for us, and they will have a great plan in place and be prepared. And they've got a lot of really good players, and it's not like they're far away. I mean, they're right there, and they know how to win. They understand that with their tradition. Typically at some point throughout the season, almost all of us in one way or another go through a little stretch like that.
If there's one number that pops off the page for me, Coach, it's the turnovers, where the Chargers, we've committed 370, and we've generated 303 for the opposition. Those turnovers in particular, is that all concerning to you, Coach, or am I just making too much out of those raw numbers right there for the season?
Yes, it's concerning. I've talked about it a lot. We have to do a better job of valuing the ball. When we get a shot attempt, we've been a pretty efficient team. So we've got to do a better job just of making simple plays, simple reads. I would say part of that is we're trying to play with a little bit more pace. So when you play faster, you have to understand how to do both and how to play fast, but also be under control at the same time. So we've got to just continue to handle that balance. I would also say not to simplify it too much, but we try to pass the ball a lot and get a lot of ball movement, player movement, and the more you pass it, the more chances you have to turn it over.
Yeah.
So I think there's some of that as well, and then just defensively, kind of with how our defense is built, it just hasn't generated a lot of turnovers. So we're looking at different ways to maybe throw some curveballs, or if you look at the football analogy, like have a blitz type, rush, a blitz coverage type thing to try to generate a little bit more turnovers.
Nothing like a good old-fashioned true road conference game with a rival that's on a Saturday afternoon. Should be a fun day. Always fun just to play basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. We only get so many cracks at this, and I know we talk a lot about not losing the joy. We can all be. It's a very serious thing and means a lot to all of us, but we want to have a lot of fun while we do it, and all the prep days and the off season and everything else are for games like this one. So we look forward to it, and appreciate you guys having me on.
Thanks, Coach. Mick Hedgespeth from UAH.
That game will be on Talk Radio WZZN tomorrow afternoon.
3 o'clock.
Yeah, because Army-Navy will be over these airwaves tomorrow afternoon as well. But that game will be live there from Cleveland, Tennessee.
Let's get that final break in. Your tomorrow's headlines next.
You're listening to Talkin Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Had some problems northbound on 431 near Hayes Preserve. They were down to one lane there because of an accident. Looks like it's been cleared. We got northbound on the Parkway at Golf, northbound on the Parkway at Airport. Both of those reported as no injury. Had an overturned vehicle 53 in Harvest, but that should be long gone now. From routine care to heart failure, Dr. Randall Burns and the team at Huntsville Heart Specialist on Bob Wallace have the expertise to care for all matters of the heart. Captain Eck in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
Hi, this is Wes Neighbors. I'm here with Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Sam, tell the folks about Fleming Roofing and Restoration.
Hey Wes, our company Fleming Roofing and Restoration specializes in commercial and residential roofing and repairs. I'm a fifth generation Huntsvillian, and our family's been doing construction business in Huntsville area since 1965.
Sam, what kind of roofs does Fleming Roofing and Restoration do?
Our guys are skilled enough. We can come out and address any kind of leaks or issues you might have on your commercial, on your metal roofing, on your shingles. We can do anything, and we can offer you a solution to repair it, or we can replace it.
Well, you guys also do insurance restoration.
Our staff has 10 plus years of experience as insurance adjusters, and we really do know the inside and out of the claims process at Fleming Roofing and Restoration.
Check out Fleming Roofing and Restoration online at FlemingHSV.com, or you can call or text them at 256-651-9440.
Hey Wes, we show up.
Tom Luganbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
It's time for tomorrow's headlines today with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Let's get out to the phone lines real fast. Short time left here on our Friday edition of Talking Ball. Scott Tyson, Steve Moulton sitting in for Philip Fulmer Jr. with a beard.
I've got a little bit of a beard going on here.
Yeah.
But, you know.
Yeah, anyway. Jeff from the Borough with us. Good morning, Jeff.
I thought that was fat. That's what some people call him, fat, or somebody called him that.
Drew calls him Fatimus Maximus.
That's right, Fatimus Maximus.
One guy called him Fatburn. Fatburn is what they call him. So that's what some people call him. But he stabbed Johnny Majors in the back, and then he got stabbed in the back by one Mike Hamilton. So like I said, they fire coaches that win national championships. So pretty bad when you're doing that like LSU and another school in this conference that does that. Pretty sad. That's probably went through a thing called Decade of Dysfunction. A guy he was a former journalist in Knoxville. He wrote a book about it. The 10 or 15 years they were in the desert of football and couldn't win anything. But I guess now they're winning that because up here, that's all you ever see up here. I've never seen too much.
Has that desert moved to Lexington, Jeff?
Oh, no, it's not moved to Lexington. We just had one bad year of Moulton and
just one bad year. Just one bad year in there in Lexington.
Well, let's see, Moulton. I know it's not nothing like UAH football or Alabama because Alabama's been in so many bowl games, but they went to 8 straight bowl games, so that's pretty good for Kentucky football. And also, Moulton.
When's the last time Kentucky won an SEC championship?
They shared one in the 70s. Let's put it that way. Okay. And also, Moulton.
Well, let's hang your hat on something that happened 50 years ago.
Well, that's fine. That's fine. When is UAH football win a conference championship?
They don't have football.
That's right. You dang right. That's why they'll never have it.
So you're trying to combat Kentucky's lack of success to a Division II
program that doesn't even have a
Division
football
II program is living rent-free.
You got me. You got me, Jeff. You got me.
Look, I'm just
goodness gracious.
Let's put it this way: there's a triple header Saturday of Kentucky athletics. Kentucky volleyball is taking on.
Kentucky volleyball.
There you go.
Yeah.
Men's basketball plays Louisville, and women's basketball plays Purdue. They'll all be on TV. So Kentucky fans, if you got 3 screens, you can watch all 3 of them. Or you
Kentucky women basketball. I believe they played at Trevecca Nazarene earlier in the year in front of 10 people.
Yeah.
No, we draw.
Where's Steeler Mike? Can you put Steeler
We
Mike
don't
back
draw
on?
much because we saw
We don't play at Foster Auditorium like
Yeah, you do. You played a neutral site game in a
Happy holidays.
You played a
Happy
neutral site
holidays.
game in a smaller place than your auditorium.
Happy
I know
holidays.
because we were there. That's gonna do it for our 2 hours.
I got hockey tonight, by the way. It'll be over the airwaves as Kyle Sharkey's Fayetteville Marksmen are in town. How about do I need to age us any more than right there?
No, you don't.
I mean,
No, you don't.
Kyle Sharkey's Fayetteville Marksmen.
The Toothless Wonder.
Oh my gosh.
All right, that's gonna. I'm not talking about Jeff. That's gonna do
No.
it for our 2 hours.
We won in the 70s.
That was a fun 2 hours. Philip Hoomer Jr. with a beard will be
Yep.
back on Monday.
Yes, he will.
From heirloom diamonds to contemporary jewels, Loring & Company is the place to find something truly special. Whether shopping